Bingetown, how we feeling today? It's your boy Dave, joined by fellow Bingetown TV hosts Brian and Paul. And today, after 3 long years, yes, you heard that right, it is 3 years, we are finally back covering Netflix's hottest animated show, Arcane, of course, season 2 specifically. It was a grueling 3 years of just sitting around after that season 1 finale episode that left everyone's jaws on the floor. And even with the return of season 2, we still haven't quite found our jaws yet because these episodes were just as emotional and intense as the season 1 finale. It's just so good to be back because genuinely I considered season 1 to be one of the best seasons of animated television like ever. And I think a lot of people online would agree. So that makes me feel a lot better. But Paul and Brian, I have to know, what are your 2 cents on your thoughts of this show when season 1 ended, as well as your brief thoughts on season 2 returning?
Well, we watched Arcane like right when it came out, season 1. So it's been like the full 3 years. So when the rewatch came around, I actually got Emily, my girlfriend, to sit in on it to watch the first few episodes. And she went on and watched the rest of the season 1 without me because she loved it so much. So it was just a great reminder how captivating this show really is for first-time viewers. I forgot so much that happened in season 1, so the rewatch was amazing. It was like almost the full reveal again up until the moment of. To just like compliment the writing even more, season 2 doesn't skip a beat at all. Like you say, the finale was jaw-dropping. The season 2 premiere picks up directly, like as it's the ending of season 1, like just happened. So, and the writing meshes so well. Overall, it is just. I'm so happy. I'm beaming to cover this stuff. The show is amazing, and I am really excited.
I want to start off by saying we did cover season 1 on Bingetown TV, right?
Yes, I was gonna address that to the audience too. I think if you are returning from season 1, you might hear a different cast of voices here. So this is why I kind of want to talk about our season 1 thoughts a little bit, is because the people really haven't heard maybe our own perspectives of season 1. They just know, I think it was Luke, Kathleen, Jimmy, maybe.
It was a pitch down.
None of us 3 were on it.
I was not, which is such a shame.
Neither was I.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, some new faces. That just shows the flexibility and the diversity of Bingetown TV.
And that was just supposed to be a pitch down. That was supposed to be Kathleen seeing episode 1 and seeing where she would go from that. And they were like, man, this show's so good. Let's just cover the whole season. So, I mean, we can't talk enough about it. Dave was saying best animated season. I would even go on to say one of the best TV shows seasons in general.
I wanted to say it, but it was only 1 season. I'm like, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I think season 2 is literally just going to pick up exactly like you said, Paul, where season 1 left off in terms of obviously not just the story, but just intensity, just action. The animation, of course, we haven't even talked about, is one of the best in all of the business, honestly. Like, I love its unique style, the grunge aspect to it all. Like, we get the Linkin Park soundtrack at the end. Like, this show is legitimately perfect in every way.
The animation, the soundtrack, like you're saying, but the voice acting, number 1 overall. Everybody knows it too. They make you feel so damn much. It's amazing.
It gets all the underlying things home run, 10 out of 10 out of the park. Like you guys are saying, the animation style, the soundtrack, the voice acting, and that is all the fundamentals of an animated show that this show just annihilates. It crushes those things, and then it knocks you in the jaw with just a storyline that'll knock you out of your socks. And you come in expecting, okay, it's this animated show based off of a video game. How good can it be? And 20 minutes in, you're like, okay, the answer is it can be very, 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 very good. It's insanely compelling. It's like adult storylines, it's it's just very, very good. And I think it took a lot of people, myself included, by surprise. But
Definitely.
yeah, I'm just agreeing with you guys. Season 2 seemingly is picking up right where they left off, literally right in the aftermath of that insane cliffhanger that season 1 left us at. So I appreciated that. They're not skipping a beat. They're keeping kind of the emotional and just actual intensity high. The stakes are still high. I just love these characters. I love this world. I love it all. And the first time I heard, "Oh, the misery," I was just like, we are back. Oh, top tier intro sequence that this show is bringing to the table.
I put on episode 1 recently. Like, Alki came in the door and he was like, "I forgot this was the theme song of Arcane." I'm like, "How could you ever forget? This was legendary."
Yeah,
But
100%.
League of Legendary. Okay, somebody, I'll step out now.
Crickets.
Yeah.
But I do want to say real quick before we get into our coverage of these 3 episodes, I just want to let everyone listening know that while all 3 of us are huge nerds, we have never actually played League of Legends, and we don't know any of the knowledge about any character lore. So if we seem like we're ignorant to something, it's probably because we are. We're just taking this, at face value of what we've seen in season 1 alone. Obviously, with new members being introduced into season 2, it might be hard for us. I'm already struggling. As I was making my notes, I was telling B. Toms and Paul, I've been struggling with names already. I don't know why Mbessa and Grayson were so confusing for me, but literally before I hopped on, all of my notes were Grayson does this, but it's totally Mbessa. So please forgive us for any ignorance there.
What I will acknowledge is I think for true fans of the source material League of Legends, there have already been like several Easter eggs and characters that have shown their faces where true fans would be like, "Yo, they're doing this and that." So
right, yeah.
I
so
think
we
it's
can't
gotta,
like enjoy those moments as much as other
right.
people, but yeah, we
We'll
still
rip
think a
that
lot of
Band-Aid
these
off.
moments. Like,
Yeah.
I'm watching some of these like scenes and I'm just like, oh, that'd be a cool alternate skin for Vi, like when she's in the Enforcer outfit. Like, I'm like, oh, that's definitely a purchasable skin in the shop or something,
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get right into it. So season 1, just really quickly, as we said, leaves off with Jinx killing her, I was going to say father-like figure in Silco and firing off this Sharpedo bomb right at the Piltover Council meeting. And that's where season 1 ends. We get that legendary screen of the bomb cracking the glass, and we see the smile come across. It was literally engraved in my brain for 3 years now. But we pick up right where we left off in the sense that we see the effects that the bomb has done onto the Piltover Council meeting. The room is completely destroyed. We get shots of Jace coming to. It's him and I already have Mel kind of coming to after being knocked out, and they're taking a look around and gathering everything that's going on. We see a bunch of the council members injured or deceased. I actually don't have a lot of their names written down, so if you guys want to help back me up on who
Nah, they're
died.
dead now.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's why I didn't write their name down. I'm like, they're dead, so it's not even worth writing down. But the main thing here is that we get shots of Kate's mom, who passed out from the rubble, but we find out that she is dead. We see Victor also trapped under some rubble. He is not dead, but he's unconscious based on how Jace is reacting and how he's trying to save him. But this was a very intense scene. We get all the fact that we hear the perspective of Jace, like how it's kind of the muffled talking and everything. It just adds that extra layer of like cluelessness to the viewers. Like they have literally no idea what's going on, and it kind of puts us in that scenario of these people literally just were attacked and they have no idea what happened, what caused it. And this was just a really tragic scene, seeing the reactions of Kate seeing her mom. We get, again, Jace reacting to his best friend Victor, who is in a life or death situation now. It was just brutal.
We get Sallow, who is injured. He was one of the ones that you brought up. And I think him being injured is like worst possible case scenario, because we know the aftermath of this. He's immediately pissed off. Like he wants all of Zon to just like suffer afterwards. So I feel like him getting injured was like worst possible case scenario, because
it was either him or the other humanoid that was like big bellied, the fat guy who was completely clueless. Like people would just throw him puzzles and he would just be like, if either one of those two lived, which one of them did. It was
Yeah.
going to be a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Was Sallow in the wheelchair in season 1 or no?
No.
No,
Okay,
the
that's
gotcha.
from
debris.
So
The
that's
debris
new, and
crippled
that's what
him.
you're saying. Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's important to note, just recalibrating, at the end of season 1, the council was literally in that room because they had a tentative deal in place with Silco to kind of cease hostilities between what it was going to be known as Zon, the underground, whatever you want to call it, and Piltover. Like, after all of the horrible stuff that had happened in season 1, they were ready to kind of start moving forward and acknowledging, we don't want a war, let's just make a deal. Unbeknownst to them, Jinx took it upon herself to take out Silco and then the Sharpedo. So, like, that's what we're dealing with. And kind of the whole framing of this episode is obviously, I feel like the first half of the episode was just recalibrating, reintroducing the audience to all of our characters, and then what everybody is dealing with in the aftermath of this attack from Jinx on the council. And what it leaves us with, obviously, is a fractured council where now there's only maybe three council members. So kind of the power dynamics at play are not spread out across 7 people. So each counselor has that much more influence, including Sallow. And then other people like Jace, who we find out is thinking of leaving the council. This is not radicalized him, but maybe made him remember that he isn't necessarily the politician type and wants to get back to the stuff that he used to be doing. So I felt like this whole episode 1 is just kind of that recalibration of characters, and then the second half is kind of the attack at the memoriam.
and like, I feel like season 2, I know it's only been a few episodes, but the split is happening more than ever, right? Because at the end of season 1, like you were saying, that plan to give them their own to be their own country, to be their own, thing, their own kingdom of Zon. Um, that was unheard of, but now they refer to them as Zon like all the time. And Sallow especially, like, he seems like, I don't know if it's nobility or royalty, but like the name households of Piltover, he seems like the most noble, like snooty, high end. So nobody hates the Undercity more than him, it seems like. And he was like the last one to raise his hand, I'm pretty sure, during season 1 finale. So as soon as that bomb hit, you knew there was no saving his hatred for Zon. He was going to be the number 1 instigator.
And I mean, let's just carry along with the council in the wake of this attack, the now 3 of them, and let's just call it a 4-person council, because although it's 3 official counselors, Sallow from episode 1 is being heavily influenced by Mbisa Medarda. So I guess there's still 3, but Sallow is almost just a puppet for Medarda's agenda. And essentially all 3 of them can no longer accept, okay, there's no way we can approach this in a peaceful manner after this attack. Like, we have to have war on Zon. We have to retaliate in some way to this attack. But they draw the line at Hextech. Nobody wants to kind of cross that line because Piltover knows it would be fighting slingshots with AK-47s essentially. And I don't think they're ready to do that.
Which I was kind of surprised at, to be honest, with how hard Jinx came at them. I feel like they would want to go no holds back, just let it all out, just use all the hex tech, just because they're all freaking out about, like, oh, we don't know the underground that well, we don't understand the fissures. They can obviously, even though we have the numbers advantage, we don't understand the underground like they do. Hex tech would clear that disadvantage by a mile, I think. So I think it's morally, it's a good decision. I'm just surprised that I'm glad that their anger, I guess, didn't get the better of them, because I think there were also talks of them trying to pin the blame on someone. Like, some of them were saying, like, we should pin this all on the underground. I think Sallow was maybe on that side of, this is all the underground. And maybe I think Mel that was like, no, this is just one person. Let's slow down. Like, we can't just blame an entire society for what one person did. Like, she was very confident in the information that she got, that it was only Jinx's reasoning to do this. Like, it wasn't the underground as a whole. But that obviously gets put to bed pretty quickly.
The no hex tech weapons, like, I was happy they didn't go in there full guns blazing, but you almost felt like it was coming no matter what. Like the Hextech
Yeah, they
weapons.
were gonna bring it out. I mean, if they're using Shimmer to like literally power up and give you zombie enhanced soldiers, you got to fight back with Hextech.
I also feel like it's just been building since season 1. Like Heimerdinger was telling Jason Victor, like, "Oh, stop! Like you're gonna unleash something that's gonna be used for evil and everything like that." And they kind of pulled back on it, and then they jumped back going forward again. So honestly, same thing, or a very similar thing here with Victor and the Hex Core, because Victor made Jace promise that he was going to destroy it, and they weren't going to continue this because it was going to lead to something. And Jace is like, all right, fine. But to save Victor's life, he didn't know what to do. He just brought him back, and like they just kind of merged. So I mean,
Yeah, ever since season 1 when Victor was bleeding out or whatever it was, and the Hex Core kind of absorbed his blood offering almost. It seems like the Hex Core has responded a lot to Victor. And obviously here, when Jace is running out of options, he brings Victor to the lab to try and just do anything to help his friend out. He notices that the Hex Core does react to Victor. And it's funny that he like immediately goes to like put it on Victor, because I feel like the way that it was reacting was like almost a negative way. I would have been like, this thing needs to get as far away from Victor as possible. But Jace is like, oh, let's just prop it right over him, which was the right move, obviously. But yes, we do see Victor ends up merging with the Hex Core and
looked a little bit like Han Solo in that frozen carbon. That was crazy.
I see it. I personally have liked. I mean, I guess this is a theme for the first 3 episodes in general, but Jace stepping away from the politics, removing himself from the council, and getting back not only to his own personal interests, but like you can see a little bit more of like the humanity and like kind, gentle side of Jace, maybe. Like after the attack, he drops everything. His number one focus is how do I save Victor? Like instead of the political ramifications. And then in episode 2 and 3, we'll get to it. Like his focus kind of shifts to helping out Echo and Heimerdinger and really just like burying himself into the science of the Hex Tech, which really is his passion.
And it's all for good too. It's not like Jace has these devilish schemes in the back of his head. Like he genuinely wants Hex Core and Hex Tech to be only used to help people out and never to be used as weapons. You can see him even when he's crafting these weapons, like he was begrudgingly doing it. This wasn't his main objective of it. Like Jace is a great guy, and you're absolutely right, B-Toms, that he's at his happiest when he's in the lab. I just think back on that scene in season 1 where Mel is kind of forcing him to interact with all the other council members to get their vote of approval for the future of Hex Tech. And he's sitting there, he's like, I fucking hate this, but he just swallows it all of his pride and just puts on this fake smile, where here you can tell he's definitely where he's meant to be.
When his shirt's off and he's sweating over the anvil, yeah, that's when he's happy.
Yeah, got some tingling feelings.
Dave, you kind of touched on it. Even Jace reaches his limit and eventually does wind up crafting these Hex Tech weapons for the Strike Force. But there is a scene that has to push him over that limit. And this is this awesome, like 10-15 minute battle sequence at the Memoriam where clearly the Zonians,
Zonites, I think they call them.
Yeah, I think it's Zonites, but they take this opportunity to launch just like a no holds barred attack on Piltover while they are still kind of grieving and a little bit leaving themselves vulnerable to an attack. And this just reminded me how awesome this show is. It hits all the emotional beats in the first half of the episode, and then bam, it's just this awesome action sequence. And I'm like, yeah, we're back.
With just music blasting, and it just fits so well. And it was interesting how they set up the attack too, because like they're slowly revealing like little bits and bits. They show this person kind of in a headdress. Were you guys picking up on that like before the reveal? I mean, obviously we see the one thug with a neck tattoo that Vi recognizes, and she's, following him. But I had no idea that this small scene, I guess it's not a small scene. I thought it was a small scene of her son dying. What's her name? The Vulture Green.
I just called her Chainsaw
Rennie.
Lady.
It's like Rennie or something like that. It's definitely an R.
I should know because she 100% looks like a playable character from League of Legends. I mean, they even gave her
100%.
signature weapon. So, when her son dies in the Jace and Vi sacking of the Shimmer factories, no idea it was going to come back to play this big of a part in the season premiere too. I mean, that's what I was talking about, where it seems like they knew all of season 2 before season 1 even began writing because everything flows so fluidly.
Yeah. The one thing I definitely wasn't expecting this either, Paul. Like you, I thought it was kind of going to be just a small scene of like, we're here to stand together kind of stuff and just get Piltover hype. I'm thinking like, there's no way the Zaun Knights are going to just do back-to-back assaults on Piltover. And then, they're showing us the tattoo guy, the woman in the headdress. And it's like, this is happening. This is literally about to happen right now. And this is like it's such a fucked up thing for the Undercity to do, is to attack during one of these memoriams. So that just like kind of pulls into the darkness of the whole world, and just they are just making themselves be such bad people, but both sides are just so angry with one another. There's just no stopping it.
But again, the resources are so skewed in Piltover's favor. This is the way
to
they
even
know they're
things out.
war. Yes, exactly. They have to resort to these guerrilla tactics and cheap shots. Like, there are no off days for Zaun if they're having a big funeral where all the most important people and council members are going to be there and like giving speeches. Launch an attack. That's the time to do it. So it kind of made sense. It was an awesome battle sequence, and that is kind of what like kicks us off into episode 2 and 3. Is again that forces Jace Talus to create the Hex Tech weapons, and then we have this. This was a badass scene where you can tell Caitlyn's just kind of turned that corner, and she's done being like, I don't want to call her frail, but like this cupcake, as Vi calls her, just this sweet, innocent, like inquisitive enforcer, to just, all right, I'm out for blood. I want revenge for my mom. Like, I'm going to walk in onto this council meeting and I'm the boss. This is what's going to go down. I'm leading the strike force. And 3 things on their task list, I guess: locate Jinx, stop Shimmer production, and neutralize anybody that is still loyal to Silco. And even Ambisa was like, okay, I see a little something in this girl.
Yeah, because I think it's like you said, I think Kate definitely starts off as a cupcake, like a Vi calls her all the time. And Mbessa definitely knew Kate as maybe a soft-hearted girl a little bit, but now seeing the anger in her, this is definitely the moment what leads into the episode 3 of her being announced as. I won't get there too yet, but this is definitely one of those moments where Mbessa identifies her and is like, yeah, that's someone who can lead us one day. And it was also really badass, just really quickly going back to the fight, of Mbessa saving the day when the spears come in, all the robots are just eating, or the
I think they're called thugs.
Thugs are just eating those spears, and you just get a look over and it's Mbessa just cutting Rennie's neck. Like, that was so hard. I was just like, unbelievably, this is so badass.
So, but if you're listening and you haven't watched episode 3 yet, then skip forward a minute because we're going to talk about something real quick. I mean, we have to talk about it, right?
Yeah, I guess we do.
Yeah.
Because we just expressed all of our thoughts that we were thinking this through 2 episodes, 1 and 2. I waited a day to watch a third one. So, I'm thinking of all the theories and stuff like that. And the reveal that they give us in episode 3 was so good. It could have been a season finale reveal. I guess they can't because there's so many things building up to it. But Mbessa being the brains and putting Chainsaw Lady in that situation, giving her the resources, she knows that Piltover's thinking exactly what we just said. Like, all these fucking dirty Undercity goons attacking during our ceremony. And this was all her genius plan. And of course, Caitlyn, she sees Caitlyn get excited, want to kill these guys. It's such good writing. The fact that it was right there in her face.
Character so much, I think, because at first she's just like a brute, maybe just like all muscle, just knows her way around a sword. But this was so calculated, and it's scary. It makes her so scary.
I got to disagree. Even in season 1, I feel like they were painting her as both the brains and the brawns. The way that she came in halfway through the season and immediately started talking down to her daughter Mel, who
and
up
the
to
way
that
Mel
point
reacts to
was kind of like
her.
the political mastermind in Piltover. She's just like, yeah, now mom is here. I'm going to run the show. I've always felt as though it's been very obvious. They've been running the show as if she has this alternative motive, and we still don't entirely know what that is because, episode 3, we find out that she was conspiring to plan that attack at the memoriam, but obviously it wasn't so that the Zonites would win that attack. It was just to push the Piltover Council towards all-out warfare. We still don't necessarily know what her desires are. And then the assassin, the Black Rose, comes into it too. And there's still that underlying storyline of Mel's dead brother, who we don't know the full story there. So right now, Ambisa or Ambessa?
I'm going to say Ambessa, but go with what you want to say.
Either way, right now, 3 episodes in, she is one of my most interesting characters. And maybe
right
that's
there with you, man.
Could be recency bias because episode 3 was a big episode for her. But Paul, what do you got?
I was just going to agree with you in the sense that when she was kind of on the screen last season and even, the beginning of this season 2, I was kind of like, this feels kind of like a B plot. I kind of want to go back to Jinx and Vi and, Jay, see what he's doing. But I think it's my favorite storyline right now. Like Mel and her,
especially with everything that's been happening to her. Like it is by far, and it's probably because we have the most questions about that storyline. Like we know at least the general issues of what's going on in everyone else's lives, but this one alone is the one where like, what is happening?
But it's the mystery aspect of it because obviously, my favorite storyline is going to be Vi and Jinx. I can't not attract towards that, but the mystery of this Ambessa, Mel, everything that happened with their family, that definitely I get excited when I see them on screen now.
And I dare say part of it's like a full season, 3 episodes in, we already know what Vi and Jinx are bringing to the table. I think they're going to spice it up, but it's like, okay, Jinx hates Vi, Vi hates Jinx, but they both love each other. Like that's the dynamic. Yeah. None of them are going to get taken out. We just know what that deal is at this point. So yeah, Ambisa.
I want to talk more about her when we get to those scenes in episode, I think 2 or 3 or whatever it is. But to end up episode 1, we just have Kate is now a new woman after having the recent attack on the funeral go down from the Zonites. She feels like she needs to now do something more. She was at first reluctant to open the Kierman vault or whatever it was with the key, the family key that she was passed from her mother. She didn't open it at first, but now she has the motivation to. I honestly didn't get this at first, and I might still be confused, but she goes into the vault. She gets basically an archive of information and videos, all these things like blueprints. Was it just blueprints of the underground system that they were going to install of the ventilation? And was it also including designs for the gas mask? Like what did she exactly see in that vault? The Kierman vault, like at the end of the episode, she's like browsing the internet almost. And it's just like a bunch of articles, blueprints. I didn't really quite understand what she gathered there.
I didn't get anything from the initial scene. It was just the opening scene of episode 3. It kind of shows her going through the plans, the blueprints, showing those like ventilation systems. And then it shows them going down. And I guess it's like a map for her to kind of maneuver the Undercity and stuff like that. But there could be a lot more on there.
I was going to say I didn't get anything too specific away from it either, but that would make sense because as we know, their approach at clearing out Zon has been flooded with, they call it the gray, just this toxic fog, which is they're kind of using as crowd control to like clear the streets of all, I don't know, I guess the foot soldiers, if you will. So if they were just blueprints for all of Zon, that would be very helpful to them.
I was going to talk about the gray, but I guess we'll talk about it more towards episode 3 when it gets used more.
The last thing I want to talk about really is just we get new characters. We have Maddie, the new blondish enforcer, and then the two other people. We did not get names for them yet, right? Like it's the bluefish guy
so.
and then the big guy, right? That's it.
Yeah, and I think everybody's on the same page that the big guy has something hidden. There's something going on with him because this episode when he's drinking with Vi and then Maddie walks up, the big guy's like looking, like listening, eavesdropping.
Yeah.
And then he like pretends to be asleep real quick.
To me, I took that as like he kind of respected Vi almost. Like that's how I took it, is like this is someone that this guy would go to battle for Vi, or at least respects her for being like a good person potentially, is how I interpreted that scene.
I think it was with that compounded with when there was a big reveal at the end of episode 3, the big guy kind of like makes a face and kind of like steps back. Unless I'm misremembering. I remember
he was my
I just
favorite of the group, and I'm pissed we never
I
got
love
a name.
him.
Yeah,
but
we
I
never
think
got
shady. And I think we didn't get a name on purpose because if he does have a name, it might be a reveal. Like
his name is Vander Jr.
Yes. Landfill.
That's gotta be it. Yeah. Yeah. No, Dave, I like your bullets: big guy, bluefish man, and blonde enforcer. And these are just the 3 people that are rounding out the 5-team strike force. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's just real quick mention that Vi looked great in that enforcer outfit. Come on, let's be real. It was so cool. Like it was
put the
so
badge on.
Yeah, like a woman in power. Am I right, boys? But
all I'm saying is the Hex Tech rifle is it's dope.
That's the weapon of choice if I'm picking one of those.
Absolutely.
But
I
just thought
gauntlets.
It was so cool. Like we're the character growth that we're
gauntlets.
The character growth we're seeing from Vi is crazy because, you know, even at the end of last season, there was never a world in which I thought Vi would become an enforcer. But
no way.
Because of her love interest and because of her moral code and everything, she's feeling like this is actually becoming the right decision.
Well, not even that. I think she just accepts that she can't fight Jinx or go after Jinx alone as this rogue operative. She can't fend off Piltover while chasing Jinx. She has to embrace the Piltover enforcer aspect, use their resources, and that is going to be her best approach at capturing Jinx. I mean, the love interest doesn't hurt, but I think that's it. She's just swallowing her pride in her backstory and leaning into it more.
Definitely. So let's get into episode 2. We're just going to talk about how the Undercity is just at arms with one another. So we get the different underground kingpins, if you will call them. We have Smeek, we have Rennie, we have a couple others. I didn't write their names down because they
okay. Paul, you got to be the deciding vote. Is it Smeech or Smeek?
Oh, I think it's Smeech.
Smeech.
Yeah, it's probably Smeech.
Yeah, Smeech.
But the very
we're
beginning
all bad
of the
with
episode,
names, and there's a lot of names.
Yeah. Smeech opens up the episode just trying to land an attack, do a surprise attack on one of the other kingpins of the underground. And surprisingly, things are going a little too smooth for him and his goonies because they aren't really met with any force, but they do see some bodies lying around. One of Smeech's random goons goes into the building that was under attack and just sees a monster. Now, this at first confused me. Me and B-Tom's kind of had a little pre-podcast chat to help clear me up, but with the knowledge of the end of this episode, looking back, I had thought that the monster that the scientist saw at the beginning, or not the scientist, the accountant or whatever saw at the beginning, was the werewolf that we see at the end of the episode. But B-Tom's led me kind of down the path of it was probably just the gray. I think they've been trying to make the gray personified and like look like a beast. Like it almost looks like that thing from Loki, the big cloud. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can't remember it. But I'm never going to remember the name, but know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, I like that. That is
Did you think it was the werewolf, or what did you think that was in that building when Smeech's attack went wrong?
I didn't even know. I was like, oh, we'll find out later.
Okay. So something I'm just now putting together, that henchman that goes in to the
He
smog is, well, he's also the same one that the strike team captures in episode 3.
Oh yeah, that totally is
I
him.
just put that
Yeah, I
together.
did
It's the
not even
same
notice that
guy.
either. Yeah, it's absolutely
I
the same
am
guy.
going I am going to say I feel very good that the eyes and the mouth are just kind of the gray, the smog personified as like a beast. And in the montage, Dave, this was my supporting evidence. The montage of episode 3, where they're like clearing out the underworld, they changed the animation style, and every time the gray comes up, the green smoke, it has like kind of that beastly face.
Yeah.
Also, we kind of do see, you know, the mad scientist Singe progressing his work on the werewolf. And I don't think even by the end of episode 3, the werewolf is operational yet. So that wouldn't time out 100%,
You're right.
although I could be wrong.
You're absolutely right.
So
But I thought, yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Singed is the same bad guy. Not bad guy, but it was the same guy that
What's up with Fate?
Silco used to save Jinx after she got like blown up in the bridge in season 1. So that's how Jinx got like the shimmer aspect.
He was also the one that raised Victor.
Okay, that was my second question. And that whole storyline about keeping that beast alive because he needed like the blood or something that it gave out. Okay, so this is the same guy. So do we think it's the same beast or not? Or it's probably different?
I'm just going to, this is a theory I've been seeing online, is that because the beast, can we all agree that the beast is wearing gauntlets?
The
did you guys not
werewolf
notice that?
beast?
Okay.
I don't know if you guys noticed that, but the werewolf is wearing gauntlets. I'm pretty sure. I might have noticed, but
I thought it was shackles,
seeing that-
but maybe it could have been gauntlets.
I'm seeing people think that that was Vander. Like Vander somehow, that was like the negative side effects of the shimmer, and that was Vander, and he's being just like basically experimented on in order to keep Singed alive or advance him or make him more powerful. I'm not too sure what his goal is, because I don't think he's a bad guy from what I remember, but he definitely has some twisted views, I think, when it comes to science. So I'm not too sure.
So
but
Vander,
yeah, people think I've been reading that people think it's Vander.
Vander shot himself up with all that shimmer.
Right.
So there's a chance he could have just been like alive, but like,
and like we never saw the body. Like we saw the body dead, obviously, like when Vi went up to him when he died, but we never saw what happened afterwards. You know, like I'm thinking that Silco easily took that body of Vander, gave it to Singed, whatever his name is, and was like, yo, this guy's crazy strong, especially with the shimmer. How can we learn from this?
Okay.
But that's where I'm at.
Another theory that I had was because when Singed walks up to this cave, we kind of see a beast, or we see eyes in the cave, and then he pulls out the canister and throws what looks to be gray, right? So I was thinking, did he invent gray and like implement it? Maybe he had a patron to like fund his research and like created the gray, and then the gray was used to basically control the Undercity. So I don't know, a million questions.
You can't rule it out. You can't rule it out. Singed has been around the block, apparently. Like he's been working with Silco, like he's worked for Piltover. Like he has arms everywhere.
We also saw it in season 1 when Silco had that scene where he used the gray when he gathered all the kingpins and just reminded them, hey, I'm still the boss. I can take you guys out. And he gave them all gas masks. But yeah, I think that's a good theory. Maybe Singed came up with it. And since we're tiptoeing around it, all 3 of these episodes, the end scene was a Singed scene. In episode 1, Paul, like you said, it's him going to the cave with the wolves and presumably throwing in the gray grenade. Episode 2, Singe's scene is him just kind of testing on cells, like injecting something, and he's keeping like a heart beating outside of a body. And then episode 3 is where we just see Singe and kind of this giant werewolf is chained up to the ceiling. So that is kind of his storyline up until the end of episode 3.
And there's like a
Another-
blood transfusion happening in the third
Yes,
one.
he is
too.
taking the. I took it as he was taking the blood of the werewolf and putting it in himself, not like vice versa or anything. Like the werewolf's blood was going into him, is how I took that.
Okay.
Gotcha.
He is a playable champion in League of Legends.
That does not
awesome.
surprise me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, we kind of got away from the point, but we were talking about Smeech, who is trying to. He's the little rat mech thing who is one of the higher up kingpins now that the power vacuum of Silco dying. He is trying to assume that role of top dog in the shimmer pushing business in the underworld. And we kind of see him trying to get to that. And then we finally see Savika, who kind of gathers all of these remaining kingpins together. And it's just like, yo, guys, we can't keep having these petty turf wars. Like, Piltover is going to annihilate us if we don't at least somewhat band together and try and, I don't know, work as one. And they're all like, I hate this guy, he hates me, we all hate each other, it's not going to happen. Savika's an interesting character, and I really appreciated the conversation that happens next between her and Jinx, because I thought they were both just going to put a knife to each other's throat, but both of them are a little bit more approach it like, damn, I can't believe Silco just died and left us this whole mess and we're still cleaning up his problems. It was a little bit nostalgic for both of them.
Yeah, it was interesting. At the beginning of season 2, I was like, Savika's still alive? Last time we saw her, I thought Vi just like beat the shit out of her and tossed her across the room, ripped her arm off. I thought she was dead. And I wasn't too happy that she was around. But like you said, Brian, this conversation with Jinx, and maybe just because we were getting more of her without Silco around, but I love what she's become, what she like wants to do. She was always loyal to Silco. You know, she had that crazy scene where we thought she was going to turn because Silco was losing it, and Lighter Guy was coming in to tell Silco that he's done, and all of a sudden Savika shows loyalty and says, you know, Silco, I'm with you. So you can see how sad she is and Jinx is in this office. They're both upset. They both miss him. Savika's like, we're still cleaning up after him, even though he's gone. How the hell does that make sense? I loved this conversation a lot. And I think because I felt like I could relate to them, because I miss Silco, man. Like, he was so good, and I could feel his absence in episode 1 and episode 2. I mean, he was the bad guy. He made things move, like he made the plot move. And now that he's gone, there's just something missing. I'm not too upset because obviously what his death means for all these other characters, but man, I do miss him. He was so evil and so cool.
I agree. He was a great villain because he was like 80% villain, but 20% redeemable qualities. And at the end of the day, he was the only one who just like full on genuinely believed in Jinx, or maybe didn't even believe in her, but just loved her unconditionally, which is like wild because she like betrayed him, undermined him at every turn. But when he died and with his last breath, he was just like, I would never give you to them. I was just like, damn, he really was a real one. Like, even though Jinx was second guessing him, he meant every single word of his relationship with Jinx, and I respected him. But yeah, he was also a big bad. So yeah, I think it was a very good conversation between Savika and Jinx, and that kind of leads us to Jinx is working on a little gift. We don't know who it's for, but she like wraps up this parcel in a bow, and it's in the same building way back in season 1 that Vi was practicing her boxing with that machine. And that machine was awesome, by the way. I love all the little gadgets in this world, but that was awesome. And it's very nostalgic for the viewers to see that place again in season 2. It's very important for Vi and Jinx or Powder's relationship. And as she's working on that, she is kind of pushed out of it because the gray grenade goes off and you see this strike force of enforcers,
which also parallels with how they've been doing the gray as like a monster beast, because you're not sure what it is at first. Like, you're led to believe it's a monster, then you realize it's the strike force.
And we have this little engagement between the Strike Force and Powder, but ultimately it's Powder watching from afar as these enforcers roll in, and the realization slowly comes over her. She sees the red hair poking through. And for Jinx to have to see Vi dressed to the nines in an enforcer outfit, like think about just how horrible and grating that must be for Jinx to have to see that. I mean, literally, the enforcers are the ones that killed their parents, and now seeing Vi just dressed up as an enforcer.
And Vi's the one been spitting, talking shit for years.
Oh yeah,
like about enforcers and like feeding it into back when she was Powder about how literally enforcers are the devil, the worst. Like all of them deserve to rot, and now she's dressed up as one.
it's yeah. I mean, that's got to feel
powerful.
terrible for Jinx. It is powerful. It's like there's layers on layers on layers. This show is an onion, man. But I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I truly thought the gift that she was making, because she was doing it in that spot where they used to hang out, all of them, like Clagger and all them. I truly thought she was making a gift for Vi for whatever reason, and I thought they were gonna just. I thought she was going to leave it there. Vi was going to come in, see the gift, and be like, okay, maybe there's some wiggle room here with Jinx. Maybe there is Powder still in there. But no, it was just a deadly weapon for a terrible human being in Savika, even though I fucking love Savika as a villain. I think she's awesome.
Are we calling Savika a terrible human being?
She's a terrible human being. Come on. She is definitely a terrible human being.
She's not the best. She could be better.
She was the dirty. She did all of Silco's dirty work. All of it.
Well,
okay.
Yeah.
I definitely
think terrible is a little harsh. I would say she isn't just like mindless chaos like Jinx is. And I feel like sometimes she even checked Silco on his worst impulses. But at the end of the day, she was just Silco's attack dog.
Yeah.
I was just going to do nothing but praise this next scene of where, Jinx is running away. She gets jumped by Smeech's men, because Smeech's men all have like the mechanical green forearms. And I didn't know what was going on. Smeech is great when he's on screen, and I liked the conversation. But when Savika jumped in, I was just so happy, because something about getting an upgrade, right? Like, Jinx,
I wouldn't even consider it much of an upgrade,
It honestly could be a downgrade in some aspects, because you don't know what you're getting. But it is the most Jinx weapon of all time. The slot machine made me think of Hunter x Hunter so badly with a Kite, right? Yeah, Kite from the Chimera and just like every slot, every different combination you get was like a different weapon. And when those 3 slots all lined up for the smile, I was like, I love Jinx, man. Her mark is just left on everything, and it's so unique. It almost reminds me of the Joker, but it's not. It's its own thing. It's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, it's so good, because it's just how the fireworks are going off, the music is playing, like it has those aspects of Jinx, and it's Savika the one rocking it, and it's just like she hates everything about this arm, but she also definitely loves how much power she's getting from it. So it's like she doesn't want to give Jinx her flowers quite yet or thank her for it, but that arm was definitely sweet. And not only did I think of Hunter x Hunter, but I also thought of One Piece and how Nami, when she gets the Tempest for like the first time, and she's like, Usopp gives it to her, and she's like in her fight with Miss All Sunday, and she's like shooting birds out, but they're not doing anything. Like it was so good, man. It's just amazing. That the design of the arm looked great, with the claw being like a beast head. It was just unbelievable. Such a great fight scene. I love when Smeech's armor, just like the hands like rotate fully. I don't know why. It was just like so satisfying to see him just like, even when he's just like pointing, it just like does a full 360. It's just like so cool.
Dude, I'll give Smeech his flowers. I didn't think he could scrap like that, but he gave Savika a nice fight. So that was a great one-on-one. And I just, as Savika is learning how to use this arm, I just enjoyed watching Jinx out of the corner of her eye, like look. And whenever she got like a different slot machine combination, she would be like, have a little smirk on her face, like, yeah, that's hilarious. You probably hate this right now.
we haven't even talked about the little girl that's been following Jinx around, or we might have brought her up, but there is a little girl that's been following Jinx around, and I love when Jinx is like mid fight and like she shoots everybody, and then she points at the girl and just like shoots her. It's just like, you're demented, but I can fix you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I fucking
And
love
that
it.
little boy / girl, I think we only got a name off of subtitles.
No, I don't think so either.
Just we don't really know anything besides the child seems to be lost and feels unsafe, and Jinx, for whatever reason, just happened to be the parental figure that was around and has been following Jinx since.
Well,
Just
parallels of Silco symbolically adopting Jinx back in the day.
Yeah. The cycle continues.
All right, do we want to get into the Victor stuff next?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so now we're back with Jason Victor in the lab. We see Victor awaken from his Han Solo slumber. And unfortunately, things aren't immediately great between him and Jace. Victor is kind of in a daze of not sure of what happened, not sure how he really survived, and he's kind of looking at himself and seeing that his body has definitely been modified now. And Jace, being such a great guy too, doesn't like look at him and see, well, okay, of course he notices like the gadgets and everything attached to Victor, but it's not like he's like, oh, you look so different. He just immediately is like, you're alive, which was, I think, just an A+ job of just explaining who Jace is at his core. Like, he just really does care for everyone. He wasn't surprised that Victor looked like not himself. He just rolled along, was like, you are alive, and I'm so happy that you're here regardless of what you look like. Like, that was just, that Jace is the man.
So Victor was saying, like, what am I? Right? Like, he was looking down, he's like, my whole body is not even flesh anymore. What am I? And Jace was like, you're alive. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, right? Like, as long as you're still here. And yeah, like he's pissed at Jace because of the last thing he said to him was, man, we got to destroy this hex core, and he merges him with it. Again, not really Jace's fault. Jace was kind of trying to help him. He ran him into the lab. It was there. I don't know. I'm not gonna blame Jace, but
yeah, this scene hurt me, man, because I thought Victor in season 1 might have been also one of my favorite characters, because at first I really thought he was a snake. Like, he saves Jace's life at the perfect time. Like, I'm just not sure at the time if, Victor is trying to just take Jace's work for himself or whatever. But over the episodes, you do learn that just as much as Jace, Victor believes in this hex tech and hex core idea, and he's literally, him and Jace instantly become boys, and that was just awesome for me. And so I really loved Victor, and seeing him step out of here and immediately kind of become like, he reminded me of Vision from the MCU when Vision's born. Like, he's just like, I can't even go by Jarvis anymore, because that's not who I am. Like, it feels like Victor doesn't really even identify as, maybe, I don't want to say it's like human, but it feels like he's stepped above human, and now he doesn't know how to take that information in. So seeing him like kind of back away from Jace and like I don't want to say retreat from the dream, because he's obviously still doing a lot of good, but I just really love the dynamic between Victor and Jace and their friendship. And it sucked to really see them now fall apart because of Victor's transformation. And I don't think, again, Victor's blaming anyone. It's just he's trying to figure out what happened, really, I think.
Yeah, and Jace has always been the more personable of the two, but now Victor, something has definitely changed with him. Is he even entirely human anymore? We're going to find out what that change means for him and what he is now, like he asked. But just that quote, when he steps out on Victor, he says, I must leave this place. Our paths diverged long ago. It was affection that held us together.
See, I hated seeing him say that, because like, I fucking loved Victor from season 1, but when he said that, I was so hurt.
Well, it is the truth, though, and I think even Jace knew it when Jace joined the council and didn't have time for their little experiments anymore, and like he really got into kind of the darker experimenting with Hex Tech. Like, definitely they did diverge, and it's not, they're not just two young scientists exploring all the wonders anymore. It's like this is the reality, and it's time to just do your own thing.
I love the parallel in season 1 when Jace, the explosion happens. He kind of loses everything. He gets banned from the university and he's gonna kill himself. And Victor walks in, and right when he's on the ledge, he's like, "Am I interrupting something?" And then later on, Victor himself, he's distraught. He's gonna jump off the ledge and kill himself. And then Jace walks in, and he's like, "Am I interrupting something?" So
Dude,
I
I'm
love
getting
those
chills.
scenes. I know.
I'm getting chills.
They're boys. They saved each other's lives, and it sucks. It sucks when people have to go their separate paths.
Mhm.
Well, I think this show is too good for this to be the last interaction these two have together. So I think they're going to
100%.
find each other again towards kind of the latter stages of this season. I'm really looking forward to it.
We don't get
Yeah.
Victor in episode 3, right? It was only episode 2.
And I kind of
Yeah.
wanted to finish off his storyline. So Victor is a god now, is essentially
Yeah,
what
pretty
his
much.
storyline is. Victor
He
is
has
now
the
the
second
god of
most
the underworld.
interesting. To me, he has the second most interesting story. It's what was her name again? Ambessa,
Ambessa,
whatever it is. And then it's
the world may
Victor
never
now
know
that
what her name is.
now that Victor has become a god. I'm so interested to see. I don't want him to be evil though. I
don't think he
want him
will
to-
be. He's
I don't
healing
think so
people,
either.
right? Like he's running around,
Yeah.
and this was
prophet.
the guy who was in Vander's bar, and Vander saved him from the thug way back in season 1. So it was cool that this guy even was brought back, and it just shows how distraught he is. With the rest of the Shimmer addicts, like he's gonna kill this guy, and Victor's like, "Oh, don't worry, let me touch you."
I'm gonna be honest.
It's like Jesus.
Seeing Victor when he lights his eyes up and he's got the cloak on, I have not felt like so attached to a character that I've been like, oh, I would really love to play them in League of Legends. But when he has the blue cloak on and those eyes go white and the power is surging, I'm like, that's my main right there. I would 100% be a Victor main. If he's looking like that as a prophet with his blue cloak, looking with his walking cane, oh my god, I was like, this is my playable character.
So
go ahead.
You go ahead. How about that?
Oh, okay. No, I was just going to say, for the longest time, I literally thought Vi and Jinx were the only 2 champions from League of Legends. But like, there's literally 12.5 champions from League of Legends. Pretty much all the main characters are champions. Even Heimerdinger is a champion in League of Legends.
Hell yeah. What I was going to say about Victor real quick, small theory. So remember the whole drive behind Jace to figure out this hex tech was when he was a kid with his mother. He was lost and somebody came and saved him, and it was this magic that looked like these runes, right? So initially I thought it was going to be Jace in my head, who's going to go in the future, learn all this, and then go back into the past to save himself. But now I'm starting to think it's Victor, because Victor is just almighty now. He is the hex core.
That would be wild.
Oh my god, that would be insane. There's no way.
That's like so crazy. It's like a catch-22 almost though, because it's like they were inspired to create this because they had this experience when Jace was young, but Victor in the future has to go back to create that experience. So I don't know if they'll get that like in depth. I really hope they do though, because I mean, for Victor to be that like god of an individual, I want to see him just flex all that power.
Put it on the board.
It's on the board.
That's a good theory. I mean, is there anything more to say about that Victor storyline?
I think that's it.
I'm good. We can just real quickly touch on the Heimerdinger and Echo. They start to notice the tree leaves are falling off, which doesn't seem like is all too normal for the tree. And Echo picks up one of the leaves and notices a weird shimmer kind of pattern going throughout the leaves, takes it to Heimerdinger, and he doesn't really know what to make of it. He just knows that it's got to be related to the hex core. It looks like something that he's seen associated with the hex core design originally when they were experimenting with it. So he offers the idea to have them sneak into Jace's lab to investigate further. And this was like so funny because Heimerdinger is like, obviously he's a scientist and he's never out really in the front lines all that much. So he's treating this like sneak in as like an actual mission. He's giving like cues and stuff. Like I thought that was so funny because he probably always wanted to be like do this, but
Oh my god, I was cracking up. Me and Emily were watching together, literally laughing. We are like, "This is so stupid, like silly stupid, but like it's so funny." Because
yeah,
Heimerdinger is as serious as can be right now.
right.
I
Yeah,
think
like he
this
actually is taking it seriously.
it is such a good place for him to have been ousted from the council, and then he just
Dude.
went to the underground wanting to do some actual good, like boots on the ground, just helping the people who need help. And then he runs into Echo, who is just like, yeah, you want to do good? I'll help you do good. And they just found each other. This is such a great place for both of those characters. But then
Mhm.
they intersect. Obviously, they're trying to sneak back into Jace's lab so that they can figure it out. Now that these three are together, oh, that is a great trio.
Oh my god, I am all in on this team 1000%. I love this group.
I love it. Bunch
And
of geniuses, honestly.
Yeah, I love too that we've been seeing Echo's progression of like his intelligence because we knew like he worked at the whatever that was, that shop of like he was fixing up one of the clocks that one time. So we knew he was always
right.
like engineering smart, but it's just like really cool to see him from becoming little man to now a grown Echo and seeing all that information just translates so well. And even Jace is throwing out compliments. He's like, "How do you know so much about Hextech?" And he's like, "Oh, like I looked at some of the notes and I kind of just deduced what I couldn't really understand." It's like, bro, you are underselling yourself. You are literally the
Mm.
man.
When Heimerdinger saw his board, he was like, "This is genius, but like it's weighted a
Yeah.
little wrong this way." He's like, "No, it's weighted perfectly for me. You don't get it."
Yeah.
And it's just,
Yeah.
he's so good.
Yep. This is definitely, I love this squad so much. But
And
yeah.
that's really it for episode 2, is it not? They don't really get anywhere with that storyline until episode 3 when they go digging around at the hex gates and then all hell breaks loose. But that
Mhm.
will kind of lead us to episode 3, which is a very Ambessa next podcast episode. We are going to have it nailed down. It won't be up in the air, but I'm here for the inside joke for this episode, whatever you want to call it. I'm an Ambisa guy myself, so I'm going to roll with that. This was a very Ambisa centric episode.
I'm just gonna call her Bessie.
Bessie.
How about that?
As B Sounds would say, would be BC
Big old
and
Bessie.
BC.
I hate that.
But this was this was great. This is just like all of like peak Arcane. Like we get the magic system, we get some cool designs, and of course we get a great fight, some great emotional scenes. Like this was like another culmination of like embodiment of what Arcane is. So I guess let's just rip the Strike Force stuff all first. So episode 3 opens up where we kind of left off in episode 1 with Kate listening to the Kierman archives, we'll call it. Mm-hmm. And we get that flash forward or whatever, like B Thomas has been referring to, of them kind of just maneuvering their way through the underground, opening the vents to spread the gray throughout the streets, to clear out the streets, to prevent, any hostility, anything like that. But we pretty much get right into this Vi and Jinx face off, which this lived up to the hype, man. This was like, this is not going to be their final battle, obviously, but this was a great like middle, like reintroduce, like we are now fully identifying ourselves as Jinx. We are now fully identifying ourselves as Vi with, enforcer kind of background now. Like we have 2 fully different characters from the last time they clashed, and now they're not holding back against one another, at least until maybe the very end a little bit, but they are fully going all out, and this fight just lived up to the hype.
Just to go further into that, the name of this episode is Finally Got the Name Right. And
yes,
when Vi's out there, she's like, Jinx. And all you hear is Jinx, like with her incredibly unique voice, go, "Oh, you finally got the name right." And it was chills. It is. Them meeting is so exciting every single time. From the flare, the first time they met after season 1, to them fighting, to this, it's incredible. And so this dude, he not the one that was like tied up on the fan, the one that kind of led him into there. This is the guy that we were talking about. Do you think he's going to come into play again? Just a question, because they named him.
Based on how this show has been going, like Rennie, who I thought was a nobody, I guess for a little bit was a somebody. I honestly thought we were going to be done with Singed years ago. Yet he's still a character. Sing's just been now like he was just a guy in Silco's army, and now he's like the red ribbon Dr. Gero. He's like, okay, Silco's gone, so I'm gonna do my own thing, and just like,
I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last we saw from this guy, because I think he was just Smeech's accountant. He was like, someone's got to go first.
The guy with the glasses with Shimmer, like he's come back. Like
they gave him a name, and he like, my name's He-Not. And then when Vi and Caitlin were talking about it later, they literally said, I'm not sure He-Not told us. And only for that reason, I assume he might come back later. But
he did make a big spectacle of revealing his name. So
that's true.
But it could.
Just another identifier that he's Smeech's guy. He does have those arms too, so you never know. He might turn out to be bad later on.
Well, in any rate, the Vi versus Jinx face-off was very good for kind of like not even a mid-season, but early season face-off. They're obviously going to confront each other again, but this was good. It was almost unsatisfying in the sense that while this is going on is when Jace, Heimerdinger, and Echo are messing with, we don't even know what it is, but like the Hex core.
We can just call it the Wild Rune for right now, even though they don't know if it's a Wild Rune necessarily, but we can just assume it is, I guess. Yeah, I did not know what to make of that, to be honest. I don't really have any glowing theories. Like, I like how Jace presented the idea that the reason why the tree is rotting, so to speak, is because the Arcana in general, not just specifically magic, but just the Arcana is upset at them for using Arcane or like magic the way they are. I thought that was really cool. I don't know what to make of that whole scene. Because the Hex Core is like still acting all wild, or no, they go down. They're in the underground, and Heimerdinger just sees this like the pattern that he sees in the leaves from the tree. He sees the pattern that we've seen from the Hex Core on the ground, and he just slowly approaches it. He doesn't even interact it, and that triggers them to be transported to this like alternate plane where we see, well, I'll call it the Wild Rune for now until we get confirmation, but I really had no idea what to make of it. Was the Wild Rune trying to give them a warning of like, don't fucking continue this? Or do you think it was trying to like reach out and help them in some way? But obviously the weapons were being affected by them being in that dimension or plane or whatever you want to call it. I honestly had no idea what to make of it. I have no standing theories on it.
So I assumed it was just bad because Jace says like, what have we done? Meaning I don't know if he got a communication from whatever it was, or if he was just looking at it and like, what did we create this thing? Just know it's bad. But I mean, it was almost impossible to guess what was happening because the craziest shit was going on and all the other weapons were malfunctioning. So assuming like all the Hex tech is somewhat on the same frequency or something along those lines, I was expecting to see fucking like ships falling out of the sky. I guess the Hex tech isn't the ships. I guess the Hex tech is just the Hex gates, which like makes them transport.
Like that. I think that's shoots. I think it strictly shoots them, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, there's a chance, somebody was going through one of those gates, and they wake up, so many light years away. But it was crazy. But I just love the visuals of it. It looked chaotic. It looked unnatural. It looked messy. It was weird.
But there was also like a look at some point on Jace's face where it went from being like scared, confused to almost like intrigued to me. I felt like by the end of his trip, like he was kind of almost like enjoying it to a degree where maybe he learned something of importance or something. I don't know.
Well, it's just another mystery for him to experiment on. Honestly, that's
Victor's got to be. Victor's got to have some interaction with this Wild Rune at some point too. I think. I mean, all of Victor's power comes from this thing. I'm guessing, or at least most of it. So
I thought he would be like malfunctioning as well.
True. Yeah, I don't know what
Victor
that is.
has transcended whatever that
Yeah.
is, or
Victor's
Victor
just the
just
god.
is what that is. Yeah, Victor is above all that. All we know right now is it's a giant ball of chaos that is more powerful than anything they can control, and that's kind of why he's approaching it with what have we done? Not to mention this is kind of the core, the mesh, the web, I forget what word they used, of the hex gate. This is like the failsafe
Right.
hex tech generator, if you will, powering the hex gate. So
Right.
like you guys have been touching on, it should be interrupting all of that. But how these scenes are simultaneously happening with the Vi and Jinx face off, obviously their hex tech weapons get disabled, which gives Jinx and Savika the upper hand. But kind of that 2v2 fight was awesome. Ultimately, it ends up with Caitlyn shooting off one of Jinx's fingers, which is significant. I don't think we've had anybody get, that noticeable of a wound. That'll be a lasting thing for sure. Although she
So
can probably just get a
crazy.
mech finger.
It
And
was also like glitching too. Like I wasn't sure if it was like an animator's choice of we're gonna animate this like it. To me, when the finger blew off, it felt like it was a robotic finger, did it not? Like it felt like you could hear like electricity cackling from it, like it was a machine that was being broken almost. But I can't tell if it was a choice of we're a PG-13 show, we're not going to show like that much blood, or if it's like this is directly related to what's fucking going down with the Wild Rune. Like
I figured it had something to do with her like having all jacked up on Shimmer from when she got saved and stuff like
that's
that.
fair
Like
too.
her body doesn't operate on a human level. But I thought that was like her flesh finger that just got popped
Yeah,
off, which
that's
I was
what I'm
like, oh
assuming too. But it
shit.
did. But I'm not crazy to think that it felt like it was almost robotic, right? Like it didn't look like it was just a human finger being severed. It was
yeah,
like
no,
glowing and
you
shit.
definitely
Yeah.
saw that. I thought it was more get shot with the hex tech bullet. You're going to have some residual
Okay.
arcana kind of
Yes.
flashing around you, whatever it may be. She is
That feels
down
like
a
a good
finger.
I think you're right
Jinx is
because the way we've seen Caitlyn shoot the gun at like those inanimate objects and how it just kind of like phases them and you see like that glowing light around the whole that makes sense. I'm with that.
well, ultimately the scene culminates in Vi has Jinx pinned down. The orphan child puts him or herself in between Vi and Jinx, holds a gun up to Vi's face, is hesitating to pull the trigger. Everybody's just kind of at a standstill. Caitlyn is just like, let me shoot her, let me shoot her, let me shoot her. Vi is like, nah, don't shoot her. And it's just this standoff whereby Vi has continuously been telling Kate,
Take
I'm
the
not
shot if
gonna
you have it.
hesitate. I'm not gonna hesitate, take the shot. You can trust me to take out Jinx. Powder is dead. But push comes to shove. Once again, she hesitated. And while she's blaming the kid, you got 2 Hex Tech gauntlets. Yeet that kid into next week and then start pounding on Jinx. Like, if you wanted that to be how it went down, that's how it would have went down. She hesitated. That's at least how I'm reading it.
They both technically did, I feel like Jinx could have easily let the girl also just kill Vi, but there was a moment where Jinx also said no, I think, to the kid where she didn't want the kid to do it. So it's just so cool how they both outwardly just say that they've given up on each other, but the moment the girl saves it, like I feel like for Vi's perspective, the fact that Powder has someone young that is trying to save them makes Vi think that Powder is still a good person, or at least is trying to do right in some way. And I think in that moment is when she gets the hesitation. She's like, okay, I've seen Jinx for the past however many months or days, however long has passed. But this is like the first time she's seen Powder, I feel like, in God knows how long. And that really affected her. Like, I think if obviously, if this kid never shows up, I think will get the job done. But now, because there's that empathy level to it, it makes things more difficult for Vi to just be like, I'm going to kill Jinx right now. They both had someone defending them, is all I'm saying. Like, Vi had Caitlyn with the gun pointing at Jinx, and Jinx had the girl pointing at Vi. The parallels are still just off the charts.
Yeah, I don't know because Vi was like gonna hesitate before the kid even jumped out with the jumped on Jinx with the gun. So like kind of Brian, what you were saying, I think Vi was gonna hesitate no matter what. I don't know if she was gonna ever be able to get the job done. It's one thing to plan to do it, and then having Jinx pinned beneath you saying like, "Do it, I'm ready to die." I don't know if I
Yeah,
was
that
ever gonna get
also.
there. Just to set up the fight too a little bit. I mean, Vi and Kate going in, Vi saying, please don't change Kate. And Kate's like, I'm not. That plays a lot into this final standoff. Also,
Mhm.
would be remiss if we didn't bring up the old makeout sesh real quick because
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
Oh yeah.
I think that's the first time they kissed on screen. It was heavily implied season 1, but I don't think we saw anything yet. So,
Yeah.
cheers everywhere for that one.
They're a good couple.
No, I
I
love
like
them. I think they're great.
I love them. But even when they get into the chamber too, we already said the thing like you finally got the name right. But even to go farther into it, their back and forth is so good. She's like, no, crack in the earth where you can't find me. And Ella
Mhm.
Purnell does such a good Jinx little twist to it. And Vi saying you're not my sister anymore. You killed her. I won't let you stain her memory anymore. So it seems like Vi wants to believe this, but when it comes to the moment, she can't actually throw the punch. And I just love their fucking back and forth, man. It is just so good.
Oh no, was made to be Jinx.
Yeah, Ella Purnell monopolizing the video game adaptation
Yeah,
into
for sure.
television series market because she killed it in Fallout, Arcane. Like,
Mhm.
come on. Maybe she's
Mm.
gonna make a
Love her.
cameo in The Last of Us. I wouldn't put it past her.
That
She's
would be so
incredible.
insane.
That would be crazy. And then just to kind of finish off the last scene, after Savika hits the trigger for the bomb goes off, air rushes up, so it kind of throws rubble. It throws Vi and Kate out and throws rubble in the way. And they're pretty much, it looks like they're done at this point, right? Because they get in a fight. Kate's like, you got my way again. You're never going to let me kill Jinx. Jinx got away again. And Vi's like, you were going to shoot a child. What are you doing? You said you weren't going to change. And then Kate fucking hits her in the gut with the stock of the gun. I was like, what the fuck was
Yeah.
that for? That was a little unnecessary. So they're in a
Yeah.
rough spot
Hate to see
right
it.
now.
Hate to see it.
I am Team Kate in this. She was like, you
Really?
literally promised. We came in here with the sole intention of taking out Jinx. That was literally the entire deal. You said explicitly you wouldn't hesitate. And what did you do? You hesitated. You promise. You are
Yeah.
still like, she completely deserved that. Left her crying in the sewers. I was just like, you know what, Vi? You promised. Like, what
Yeah,
did you
no,
think we were doing here?
I'm definitely Team Kate. And Vi also has seen Kate shoot a gun before. She wasn't hitting that child. let's be
Oh,
real.
not even a little bit.
Okay.
Not even a little
but-
bit. Like that's who she is. She's a sharpshooter. Like everybody knows. That's what she does. She doesn't miss, that's for sure. Yeah, and going back to kind of Savika exploding the wall and all kind of the paint smoke rushing into Piltover, I'm wondering if there's going to be any more sinister consequences of that, because seemingly it was just, pink and blue or all color paint, spewed over Piltover. That doesn't seem too terrible. My first instinct was it was going to be a variation of the gray, like actual toxic fumes
That's what I
invading
thought too.
Piltover. But
I think it did mix with the gray. I think initially
Okay.
the gray was shooting up the vents, and then Jinx had in all of those vents, it's this color. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there is an act like it was just to make it colorful, or
Make
if
it
there
her
was an
flare. Add her flare
yes,
to it.
the Jinx flare, or if it
Mhm.
was another side effect. But I figured it was Jinx trying to say, hey, you pump all this dirty air down to us. How's it feel? Right? Like this is now it's your turn to see how we live up here, all these hoity toity guys.
Mhm. That's what-
Like have fun breathing through a fucking face mask like we have.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I feel like we've already touched on most of Jace, Heimerdinger, and Echo's storyline for this episode, but even Echo, when they go down to the depths of the Hex Gate, Jace kind of condescendingly or dismissively is just like, oh, we're like 200 meters away from any of the fissures. And Echo's like, bro, these are all of our pipes and
Water
vents
supply,
supplying our
yeah.
clean air and water, and you are directly over top of all of that stuff. Like, clearly this is going to have an impact on us, and this is most likely why it's, you know, infecting our tree down there. So, like, just another laid on that Piltover has always just considered the underground or Zaun as an afterthought.
All right, let's get into these final scenes here regarding Mbessa and Amara, because these personally were probably some of the spiciest scenes we get of these 3 episodes. So I'm ready to sit down and get into this. So we have Mbessa, who is finally meeting with Amara of the Merchants Guild. Amara has been trying to make these plans to see Mbessa for a few days now. She's at least tried contacting her 3 times for what we know. Mbessa finally decides to meet with her. And to be honest, I don't really gather much from this conversation other than the fact that Amara reveals herself to be a witch who is working maybe with an organization called Black Rose, or at least their insignia seems to be a black rose. And all we know is that Amara, in her final words before getting pierced by Mbessa, says, "We know what you're looking for here," or something along those lines. And basically giving a final vow of, we're not going to let you get to it. So hard to kind of tell who the bad guy is here, because Mbessa's obviously been playing everyone to a degree, and on paper, on face value, I'd say it seems like it's for very selfish purposes. But this conversation also gives us a better insight to her relationship with Mel. While she recognizes that her and Mel have an awful relationship right now, it's honestly all in part of Mbessa's plan, because she doesn't want to have her close ones too invested into whatever she is doing. So it's more of, I'm looking out for Mel by keeping her far away, is how I think I've gathered that. But we don't know exactly what Mbessa is looking for in Piltover, if I'm correct. Feel free to challenge me on anything, but that's what I seem to have gathered from it.
Yeah, it's that's for the most part what I was gathering as well. Amara and Mbessa also referenced the dead son as well, and she also
Right.
Amara said something to the effect of, "You should have left this feud alone." And then also, yes, we know what you're actually doing here in Piltover, and we can't let you accomplish that. But ultimately, go ahead.
I was just going to quickly ask, was there ever like a revelation in season 1? I just can't remember if we had known that there was an ongoing battle already with Mbessa's like ancestry in some other faction. Is that correct?
We didn't exactly know what it was, but when Mbessa comes to Piltover and sees Mel, she tells Mel almost like right away, blandly, like, your brother's gone, like something's happening, and they're not done yet. They're still coming after us. I don't think we had a name, but like Lest, the big ears, kind of says in one scene, like, Mbessa's scared, and Mbessa doesn't get scared too much. And the scene was also really cool too, because in season 1, when Jace is talking about he wants to find this magic, he wants to be able to use it and create it. Everybody's like, dude, magic? Like, what are you talking about? We see this, like, it looks like magic from Amara, with just incapacitating her security guard and Mbessa herself, and holding both of them down. So I was super intrigued by that. I loved it, thought it was super powerful, and I want to know way more about it.
Because this is our first time like seeing like real magic, right? I mean, we got obviously the backstory with Jace and his mom, and we saw that magic, but this is like the first time we have seen it, right?
I believe
seems pretty fucking powerful to me. Like they were teleporting people places, transforming rooms. Like, that shit's crazy.
Yeah, and it wasn't. I believe in season 1 they didn't say magic. That's impossible. It was an acceptance. I think they said you're either born with arcana or you're not. So it's like either you got it or you don't. That's why they looked at him with two heads. So we do know that there are people out there, and I at least always assumed there were people out there other than the original rune teleporter guy that had the Arcana. But yes, you're absolutely correct. This is the first time we're seeing it in the series, if it is indeed Arcana.
Yeah.
And
It's just
their weapon, I don't know what their weapon was that he just slapped it down, and then they had their own runes on the staff that broke the black rose. I keep saying black lotus because I thought it was a lotus, but yeah, that shows my herbology knowledge. But as soon as this happens and they kill Amara, they're both rattled. The security guard or the bodyguard and Mbessa, and immediately they're like, all right, we gotta make the next step, and the bodyguard tries to say maybe it's time to involve Mel, but Mbessa was the one that was like, no, like we're gonna go for Sallow and we're gonna do that. So that's the next scene is Sallow getting like shimmer brush tattoo, I don't know, different way to apply shimmer.
Yeah, it was a cool feature because we've obviously seen Silco injecting shimmer into his eye. We've seen people with like the tubes and everything. This was definitely I thought it was honestly a cool way to have the shimmer. Like, it was literally painting the scars with the shimmer. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
They're painting Sallow as not only hot-headed, but maybe a little bit immature as well. He's, Medarda said, Mbessa, Medarda, synonymous, same person, goes in there and says, I'm here to sober you up. Like, we have work to do. And he's just like, oh, come on. Caitlyn hasn't made any progress with Jinx. I'm just kicking rocks over here. But essentially, Mbessa has him rally all the influential families in Piltover for this big meeting, which kind of happens at the end of the episode. And along these lines, the person that was applying the shimmer tattoos winds up being Lest, who we find out is, I don't even want to say directly spying on the mom and Sallow, but is certainly one of Mel's informants. And seems like a pretty damn good one too with those ears. But she essentially relays that whole conversation to Mel about what you guys were saying. Your mom is scared a little bit and something big is going down because she's having Sallow assemble all the families.
And Mel says, if my mother gets what she wants, the whole city will suffer. So I think Mel knows what her mom wants, but we don't.
That's why it's so hard for me to determine if like Mbessa is the bad one in the situation or is it the Black Rose. Like, I truly believe because Mel is only seeing the bad sides of Mbessa because that is what Mbessa wants her to see. I'm more inclined to believe that Mbessa is trying to do something good, but Mel, because of how her mother has been trying to keep her separated from this all, I think she's interpreting it as negative. But I'm starting to think that Mbessa is going to be trying to do some good. I think.
Well, I don't even know if Mel knows what her mom's motives are.
She doesn't. I don't think she does.
I think she just knows that Mbessa's interests are going to be self-serving or serving the Noxians rather than Piltover. So, best case scenario, Mbessa does not have Piltover in her best. I'm sorry. Best case scenario, Mbessa does not have Piltover's best interests at heart. Worst case scenario, she will sacrifice or kind of discard Piltover to get what she desires and then just dip. And I'm not sure if Mbessa is keeping her out of the plans because she's trying to protect Mel, or if she doesn't want Mel undermining her, because she has said previously in season 1, my family is the one thing that I can't avoid. Everything aside from like you kids, I'm able to be this ruthless leader who just always makes the textbook right call. You and my family is the only time where I let emotions get in the way. And that's, the only time I've made missteps.
Yeah, they really are painting Mbessa in this bad light. And she's obviously done a lot of bad things. Like, we'll get the reveal later on that she set up the whole attack. on Piltover, but it's my initial gut feeling is she's evil and she's doing something evil for her own interest. So totally agree.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is that Mel told Lest, like, you are the only one who can stand in her way. Did you guys remember that, or did I like
Yeah, no,
miss?
no, she said
Yeah.
she absolutely said that. And I think it was just more referring to her like position right now in terms of being this close and informed on the matter at hand. Like you possibly will know the most out of anyone that is near Ambessa and that will actually communicate with other people in Piltover, not just like the bodyguard who will probably just keep everything to himself, but an opportunity for Les to just be the hero here, I guess. I don't think she was like directly saying like you are the one to save us all, more so just like you right now are in the best position to stop all this.
Gotcha.
But
so Mel and her just has her assistant confirm, right, that like Sallow is gathering people for some meeting. They don't really exactly know what's going on. They're looking into Mel's brother's death. Still a mystery. They're not exactly sure what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then she tells her assistant, hey, have the apothecary check out this new cool shimmer brush, whatever it is. Gonna be cool review, I feel like, coming out, because this is something like new, all the rage that they said. But the way the camera kept focusing on it, it felt like it was gonna be like a big pin drop later.
was that what that was? I thought it was a dagger. Was it the paintbrush that they were using on Sallow?
It was. I thought Lest gave her that and said, "Hey, this is a new shimmer cocktail." But Lest was
She
also
did.
the one. Yeah.
And Les
Oh, I
was
didn't piece
also the
that
one
together. So
applying it.
yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, okay. I did not piece that together. Okay. But so as
So
of right now, we
that'll
just
be,
know that is just
is new.
like some special form of shimmer. That's it.
Yeah,
I,
they're not exactly sure about anything from it,
I
to be
would.
honest.
Yeah, it seems like just a different administration of shimmer that doesn't have you injected into yourself. In any rate,
'Cause
Paul, go ahead.
The best
No,
part of this
I was just
scene,
going to emphasize.
yeah, the best part of this scene, when they're in the office and all of a sudden Eleanor, or Alora, I think her assistant's name is, freezes,
Yeah.
looks at her and goes, Black Rose. And the whole like magic roots pop out and take over her, and it slowly consumes her, but they all popped out instantaneously. It's so cool. I want to know how it works.
I mean, I think we're going there, but yeah, I mean, last we see Mel, she just gets swallowed up by the red and is seemingly gone for now.
Yeah. And Bessa doesn't even bat an eye at this meeting when Mel isn't there. Great
Yeah,
mothering.
well, she's got a lot on her mind. But yeah, I mean, that does take us to the meeting. And essentially, it's Ambessa fanning the flames of war and saying, we can't deal with this any longer. The only option we have left is an all-out full-scale attack on Zon, enforcers in the street, and we need one single general with unwavering confidence to lead this army. And of course, nobody else comes to mind other than Caitlin Kierman. And she's a little taken aback, and everybody's a little taken aback, except for Ambessa, who starts pounding the chest, and all the Noxians are there. So it's like she's not the only one. And then all the people from Piltover are like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm about it. And I think
Game of
Matthew
Thrones,
McConaughey
baby.
was there with a little,
Yeah. So
yeah, that was
absolutely just a huge political move by Ambessa, who knows Caitlyn absolutely hates Zon, wants to destroy it. Seems like Ambessa also, I don't know what I think she just wants to cause chaos. She wants this war. I don't know why I don't know if she wants a result from the war. She just wants the war to be a distraction from something. But the way she obviously picks the Kierman family, Caitlyn, to destroy her, and the way she set up Chainsaw Green Lady, set her up, literally said, here, this is revenge for your son. Go do all this.
Yep.
And then to get double crossed at the end, Ambessa actually kills Green Lady. This is all Ambessa. This is all her doing. This is all going according to plan.
And I forgot another lie that she tells all these influential families. Of course, we know Amara is a witch, but she said, I met with the esteemed guild merchant Amara, and she was murdered by 2 Zaun assassins. I tried to protect her, and I fought them off, but I was too late, when in reality, she killed Amara, even though Amara was a witch and was trying to assassinate her. But in any rate, is completely misleading them. And yeah, like you said, this is all going according to plan for her.
Crazy.
Do you think
this is
Kate is going to embrace this role, or do you think she's kind of questioning her being picked for this role?
Dude, right now she's like, I was born for this role. Like, she's going to go like scorched earth. I feel like she had that look.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, I'm ready to drop the bomb.
I would agree. I think she was surprised to hear it right there, but she's going to embrace it. And now that she's kind of distanced herself from Vi, has already had that heel turn of, okay, now I'm the strong, confident, full-on enforcer out for revenge, Kate. Yeah, I think she's going to be out for blood and is going to embrace this role.
And Bessa puts the cloak over her shoulders, says, your mother will have justice, I swear it. And then Kate turns around and hits a clean salute, which is like half of the Attack on Titan salute. So it's just the front half. I think her and Vi are like done, unfortunately. Also, I don't know. We'll see. But also, Sallow is pissed because Sallow 100% thought Ambessa was going to be like, we need, this guy and his royal family to rule. So he's obviously going to be pissed. And then he's going to break up Kate and Vi. So I'm not wrong because they're done. They're done, dude. How are they possibly going to be together after they change so much? Nah. I hope
we have so many incredible storylines, man. It's like overwhelming at this point because I'm like looking through it. I'm like, yeah, sign me up for the Singh storyline, sign me up for the Jace storyline, sign me up with the Ambessa storyline. It's just like it's crazy. And also, now that we're kind of like wrapped up like the main conversation, like meat of the actual episodes, like what do you guys think about this? How they're releasing these episodes? I'm curious.
Well, as a podcaster, I appreciate it's not them rolling out 10 episodes at a time because that always stinks.
It makes it a little bit more manageable. Yeah.
It's always been Netflix's thing to kind of bulk release so you can binge it at your leisure. I think this is a good intermediate between the week-to-week release and only having one episode. You're like, come on, I need more. And, the opposite of that, the full season release. And then after 2 days of a binge, you're like, oh, I'm already done and I have to wait 3 more years. So I kind of like it, the 3 episode at a time release, personally.
I think it only works for Arcane because like they almost have like a 3 episode like sequence. Like the third episode almost seems like a great like mid-season finale. Like episode 3 of season 1 was the end before the time skip.
The episode.
Yeah. So
it was like, the episode.
Like if they released it in the same fashion, I think it would have worked perfectly. So as of right now, I love it. I hate it because I have to wait so long, but I think it just builds the suspense. It gives us more time to talk about these so many storylines that you just brought up because there are so many, and it gives us time to like kind of touch on all of them. So I'm digging it. I'm so ready for second drop though.
All right. Any final thoughts you guys want to get in here before I wrap it up?
I have so many storylines that I want to see, so I can't name one. Just give me them all.
Yeah, I just think it's all been good, and it's fantastic to see that the quality hasn't dropped at all, and we're just right back into it.
Awesome, then. That's going to be it for today's episode coverage of Arcane. If you like what you heard, give Bingetown TV a follow on our socials at Bingetown TV on X, Insta, YouTube, the works. November, man, this is, well, not even just November, but the next few months are just going to be pure grind for us. We have a lot of shows coming out. If you guys want to help me think of them off the top of my head, I know we have Silo. I know we have
The
Dune
Dune
Prophecy.
Prophecy. We are finishing up from.
There's a lot to look
coming
forward
up.
to.
Yeah, there's a bunch
There's a
going
lot
on.
there.
That's
No,
like
there was so
whenever
much.
anybody's like, "Oh, you're on a podcast. What shows do you cover?" I'm like, we cover
Yeah,
like
what do we
75
cover? I
shows
don't-
now. But where can you find
Because
them?
I have my
Dave?
old outro here. Yeah, we can find them on BingetownTV.com. We got a whole wide catalog of options for you guys to listen to. We covered a lot of shows over the years, and we definitely want you guys to check them out. Be sure to join our Discord and chat with us about anything that you're currently watching. Talk with us about anything that you're watching with us. We love to hear it. Our Discord has been popping off recently, so you definitely want to get in on the action there. And like I said before, for all of our podcast catalog, check out BingetownTV.com. And if I didn't say it enough, once again, we are Bingetown TV, and thanks for listening. I wake up to the sound and the silence on around.